When we looked at frontline, and when I say frontline, the biggest industry there is healthcare, followed by hospitality, retail, and construction. You will notice typically less than 15% of their hires come through referrals, and it's all managed on spreadsheets. The top 25th percentile of healthcare organizations, they're doing 34.8%, right? In the top 10th percentile, they're doing 41% of their hires come through referrals. We actually show them live the referral turnover rate, and they can literally look at that and compare it with the org-wide turnover rate and report on it. Typically, it's 50% lower. The biggest thing we've done differently compared to other products is that you don't need to download an app. It's all through text, right? So when I show them that, they go, wow. And the reason they go, wow, is because this provides a great experience for the employee, but also saves them tons of questions.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Ryan Leary. You are listening to and watching the Use Case Podcast. Today, I've got Tawfiq with me from Echo. We're going to be talking about employee referrals and frontline hiring and all the goodness that comes with that. Tawfiq, I could talk for days about this subject, so I'm hoping you're gonna talk more than me on this. Well, let's do it. Before we kick off, let's give the audience a quick introduction of yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ryan. Excited to be here. I'm Tawfiq. I'm the co-founder and the CEO here at Echo. And really, our mission is to help organizations attract and retain frontline talent. And we do that by helping them increase employee referrals. We'll talk more about Echo and what we do in detail. But prior to this company, I was actually back at an organization called Ultra. Some folks might be familiar with it. It helped companies attract talent through video testimonials. That was later acquired by iCIMS, and it's now called iCIMS Video Studio. So whether it's Ultra or Echo now, the mission is, hey, to help organizations really source talent through their own employees. It started with video, and now it's with referrals.
Yeah. So how did you get into? I guess what drives you to be in referrals? Referrals is an important part of everything we do in this world. I don't think it's as overlooked as it once was. You'll know better than me, but I don't think it's historically. I think it's been overlooked. It's like, oh, just refer your friends.
Yep.
We're good. I think we've gotten a lot better. We've come a long way there. But talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the piece we're focused on is really frontline employee referrals. And why frontline? When you look at any tech company or corporate company, you're right. They've got referrals, spot on. About 40% of their hires are coming through referrals. It's automated through their HRS system. Employees are logging in, all that stuff. When we looked at frontline, and when I say frontline, the biggest industry there is healthcare, followed by hospitality, retail, and construction. You will notice typically less than 15% of their hires come through referrals.
Wow.
And it's all managed on spreadsheets. It's all manual.
Yeah.
So you have
I expect the spreadsheets, but why 15%? That's crazy.
most folks on the front line don't even know that their organization has a referral program.
They're just coming in, clocking, doing their thing.
That's it. They don't even know. And they do know a bunch of referrals, but they don't know, either they don't know that their org has a program, they don't know, or they do, but they just don't know how to refer someone, or they referred someone in the past and they had a bad experience, so they're not going to do it again. Right?
I've had that.
Yeah.
I've had that and I've never. This is my wife says my hands are like butter, and I'm like, she's like, will you go do something like lift weights, something like get some calluses, but so I've never done frontline work, and I probably should get some experience. But even in the office type role, I referred some people. I never heard back, or there were like hoops, right? They had to work for 90 days and I got fired and I didn't get the referral fee and all this stuff. And I just never went back. It wasn't important to me. It didn't make any sense.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And that's what's happening on the front line, really. And, I always talk to leaders and say, hey, if you go to the front line right now, right? If you go to the hospital floor, if you go to the factory, and just ask any employee, hey, do you know that we have a referral program? Chances are they're going to say, no, I never knew about it. Or, yeah, I referred someone, I just had a terrible experience, so I'm not going to do it again. Right. And that stems from the process being manual, right? And that's why they have a bad experience.
So have you, now, I don't know that you have or haven't done this because we haven't talked about this. Have you spoken with, for the audience, we're going to get into Echo and what they do, and we're really going to dig deep into the demo process and all of that. But I'm curious, as you're talking to companies who maybe don't feel like they need a new referral process because they have something.
Mhm.
Have you ever walked the shop floor with them and just did that kind of pulse survey and asked them like, "Hey, do you know we have a referral program or any of that type of stuff?"
So yeah, typically the first question I go with is, perfect, you got an awesome process. I love that. Most organizations don't. Can I ask you a question? Yeah, sure. Today, what percentage of your hires come through referrals? They have to dig that number in, so go to their ATS source.
Hmm.
Oh, we had X amount of referrals, X amount of hires last year. We do the math and I'm like, oh, you're at 12%. He
That's
goes,
fantastic.
right? Yeah. And they go, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, you're at 12%. Do you know what the benchmark for healthcare is, for example? And they go, no, what is it? I'm like, the top 25th percentile of healthcare organizations, they're doing 34.8%, right? Um, and the top
What
10,
does that gap do for the business right there?
it does
I mean,
a
yeah.
lot. All right. And in the top 10th percentile, they're doing 41% of their hires coming, right? And these are data from 350 healthcare organizations. It's actually not from us, it's from our partner called Rogue Hire, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah, yeah.
They gave me this data. Hey, run with it, go. And I go, perfect, you got a process, but is it working? And if you're only getting 12%, that means you're getting candidates another way. How are you getting candidates? And most of the times in healthcare, it's travel agencies. Right.
Okay.
Yes, travel staff. So if they can't fill up the role, uh, they need a nurse right now. So they phone up a travel agency, and some of the biggest ones are like Aya Healthcare, etc. And they bring in a travel nurse that costs them 4 times the price.
Right. They could have just paid for Echo at that point.
When we do the math, sometimes for these organizations, and today we're working with some of the largest healthcare orgs, I go, hey, let me do the math just for you. If you replace just one travel staff, right, potentially two, the solution pays for itself. That's just travel agency cost savings. There's still
Right.
recruitment cost savings that we calculate together, reduction in turnover cost savings that we calculate together. So the math just maths when it comes to referral, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's the? So I'm curious here. What is the when you look at a company? And I
Yeah.
know these weren't necessarily real numbers, but let's just say 12% is their actual number that you found they're running at. What's the difference between a company that's running at say 40%
Yeah.
as opposed to or 30%, whatever the top 25th was, versus the 12%? Not so much in revenue in dollars, but in why. Like where's the gap at, and what are they not doing that they need to do?
They're not using Echo. No, I'm just kidding.
Done. Sold.
But no, they so it's really three. I always say like for a great referral program, you need the three E's. Make it very simple. They go, oh, what's the three E's? It's a
What's the
risk.
three E's?
Yeah, they
Tell me
go.
more.
Tell me more. Look, it needs to be enticing. So the bonus amounts, I'm not saying need to be like 20,000, but no one's gonna cut it and do a referral for like a $50 Amazon gift card,
Yeah,
right?
we don't need screw your gift card.
Yeah, exactly, right? And typically depending on the role, but we see bonuses between $300 for like hourly hospitality roles, all the way to 10,000, sometimes 25,000 for very hard to fill roles in healthcare, like nurses,
Wow.
CRNAs, etc. Right? And I'm like, they need to be enticing. So and we have an equation for that, but think about it just logically. If you're someone on the front line, you're typically expecting this amount because you know how much you're saving the hospital. They go, it needs to be engaging. That's the second E. So typically referral programs run like this. HR or TA sends an email once a quarter or once a year, like, hey, we have a referral program.
Yeah, yeah.
80% of employees on the front line don't even read that email.
They don't even
20%
check
that
their
do,
email.
yeah, they don't know someone. So it's not as engaged. It needs to be engaging, and not just a one-time transactional thing. It needs to be something that that's out
Yeah.
there. The manager's speaking about it. You got flyers, banners, etc. You got
Hmm.
text campaigns. That's the second E, and the third E needs to be extremely simple. So if you're asking your frontline employees, hey, I want a referral, but you have to log in, you have to put in your email, your password, and then put in your referrals information, their email, their password, their resume. Oh, how did you know
Right.
about them, etc. No one's going to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying if you just fix those threes, and most organizations who have that 40% have those threes spot on. So they
Right.
have enticing, engaging, and extremely simple, and that's about it.
Yeah, you know what, when you're as you're telling me this, two things come to mind. One is the movie Christmas Vacation. You saw that, right? where he gets the jelly of the month club. Like really good way to piss off an employee right there,
Yeah.
right? Like jelly
Yeah.
them, like that's what most of these companies are doing.
Yeah.
The other thing I remember when I worked at Connexa, and there's a lot of ex Connexons in this world that are really successful, and I was honored to work with them. In fact, I just got off a call with ex Connexons. They do like a every 2 month type of thing, totally cool. Um, the Previously they used to do this thing called Sailing Bonanza. So at the end of the year, based on the revenue goals of the company or where the revenue landed to goal at the company, there'd be a drawing and you would get prizes, like real prizes, full kitchen makeovers, full vacations anywhere, like that began with a letter,
Yeah.
like legit, real, like high dollar, 20, 30, $40,000 type prizes. So I've never won. One year I win. I'm like, holy shit, I just won something. I didn't know what it was. I pulled it out. It was a $50, might have been 25, but I think it was, I'll go with 50. A $50 donation to the charity of my choice. Like that's what the company did because it had to reduce the spend and all that stuff. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
That was the first time I felt slighted by the company, and I was there 10 years.
Yeah.
But I remember that moment. I'm like, wow, what just happened? And from that moment on, I kind of disengaged. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Like I disengaged. I was there, but I was like, not that I was working to get that,
Yeah.
but in your example, kind of like it's not enticing for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting bonuses at the time, right? Like we were recruiting, we weren't getting bonuses. That
Yeah.
was the bonus potential,
Yeah.
and it was ripped out. So yeah, no, I hear you, man. I hear you. So okay, so the companies that are at the 40% have the three E's. Companies at 12%, they have nothing. How do we fix this? How do we get those companies to move towards correcting their issues here?
Yeah. I
Obviously,
mean,
use Echo, but we'll get there.
yeah. And I always, we put a lot of content out there around like, hey, you don't have to buy our solution. Here's some strategies you can follow that to increase your referrals. I got inspired by the HubSpot way of doing so. Dharmesh, if you ever heard him speak, his goal was just put in helpful content and, karma will give him clients back. And that's us. We just putting helpful content out there. Right? Like, here's ways to fix your program. Here's a policy template. Here is ultimate guide. Here are some benchmark reports, all on our website,
Right.
complimentary, right? And we just tell them exactly like, look, here are some free ways you can do. Like they don't cost you anything to just increase your referrals,
Right.
right? Simple stuff like put it in your signatures. If you're friends with IT, have IT put it in on all employee signatures. But if you're
Across the
not,
board.
maybe only focus on HR and TA. Anyone who's transacting with an employee in their signatures. Hey, have you heard of our program? Click here to refer someone. Easy,
Right.
right? Quick win. Hey, put a slide in your onboarding docs, right? Anyone who's coming into an organization, you have them engaged, whether it's, some organizations do like a paper, leaflet, other organizations do like slides,
Yeah.
some folks do it in cohorts. Just put one slide there about your program. Hey,
Yeah.
we have a program. Here's how it works. Here's how to refer someone. Here's how much doesn't cost you anything and can increase your referrals, right? Some of these small strategies, I'm like, look, you have employees coming to the hospital every day. You're lucky you're not working remote, right? You're not a distributed workforce.
Yeah.
That means you have your employees' attention. Have you ever thought of putting posters,
Yeah.
banners, and
As a
staff?
I'm a big fan of like fat heads
Yeah,
and
yeah,
digital. A digital sign makes more sense because you can rotate it.
yeah,
But I've always been a fan of companies that use fat heads or something similar to that, and they plaster something on the wall every single month. They're inexpensive, and for the company, for a couple $100,
yeah,
they can literally put it on an entire wall.
everywhere.
And yeah, and just throughout and it keeps it fresh, and
Yeah,
like you said, you have the attention of these employees
yeah.
because you're not a distributed workforce. I mean, it's just an easy, ingenious way to do it. All right, let's get into Echo. I want to learn about Echo. So, give us the origin story. How did Echo come about? Obviously, we know the problem that you're solving, but why? Why is this important for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest reason for me is my dad. He's a frontline employee. He actually is an anesthesia technician. And anything I build, I think I build with him in mind. He's actually our first user. I even gave him the
Did you
gave
give a
him the
bonus?
yeah user experience. I'm like, hey, I didn't say a word. Like, hey, you have a friend, refer them, and he would do so. So anytime I think about like who's our ultimate customer,
Hmm.
it's actually the employee. It's not the organization that's paying us, right? Even when we're building a product, because if I make the experience great for them, but really the origin story came from when we first started this company, we said, hey, it started with a different idea and we slightly pivoted,
Hmm.
but we said, hey, look, let's go after tech companies. And the idea was to allow not their employees, but external individuals to make referrals and earn bonuses, right? And the idea was like, hey, you have Atlassians of the world, the Dropboxes of the world, all those companies. They have hundreds of thousands of LinkedIn followers, community members on their profile,
Right.
but they're still struggling to get software engineers. What if they would allow these individuals to refer someone, earn a bonus? We went out and literally we were giving out the tech for free, and no one was buying it because it was nice to have, not a need to have,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They didn't see a value. Maybe they saw an opportunity,
Yeah,
but it wasn't something they were willing to really put some power behind.
yeah, absolutely. And we were like, where's it going? What's good? What are we gonna do from here? And then I remember this one day we get an inbound, and it was a healthcare organizations. I won't forget. It was Children's Minnesota. She came in. She was like, hey, uh, I don't know how she found us. She's like, hey, can this help me manage my existing referral, like internal referrals, and help me increase those?
Hmm.
And as any founder, like, yep, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
In fact, this is exactly why
Yeah,
we built this
yeah,
program.
right. And we were like, okay, there's something there. Like if she came inbound, there's something there. So maybe we're building a wrong product for the wrong market. So we
Mhm.
switched and said, okay, let's look at the front line in healthcare and what's out there today and how can we build something different,
Right.
right? And that's where we're like, okay, let's go. We did some outbound. We suddenly got, some responses, got our first few clients. Today we're about 52 enterprise clients, all healthcare,
Nice.
I remember our first contract that we sold, and now it's just living the dream at this point.
That's awesome. So the 52 enterprise healthcare clients, do we at some point pivot to add a vertical in, add tech back in, or are we staying, at least for the near term, staying healthcare?
Staying in healthcare, if we would add a vertical, it would be hospitality. We actually have one customer in hospitality and one in construction. So we don't say no to those, but we don't go after them, right? All our messaging, et cetera, is after healthcare. Um, we have a hospitality customer that we really love. They're actually based Elior, North America, so they're a competitor to Aramark and to Compass Group.
Hmm.
Um, they 5x their referrals just in the first 6 months with Echo, right?
Wow.
And they were so happy that they, hey, Tawfiq, our Europe team wants to take a look at this. We're like, oh, wait, we're only focused on North America. They're like, oh, just do a demo for them. Like we were telling them we don't want. And they were like, just do a demo for them, and we did a demo. But I would say short answer, if we would go to a different vertical, we would stick to frontline and
Yeah.
hospitality. I think would be next for us.
Yeah, it seems like a natural
Yeah,
extension to that
yeah.
anyhow. So, okay, so when we're looking at Echo, talk to me about your target, your ideal profile, your ideal customer profile. I want to dig a little deeper into that. We know it's frontline, we know it's healthcare, but tell me more about who's the actual buyer. It's I know you're working for the end user,
Yeah.
right? The users of the, which is genius, by the way, and that's the way it should be in product. But who are you actually talking to? Who's writing the check for you?
Yeah, it's typically the vice president of talent acquisition, sometimes the director of talent acquisition, but on those larger organizations, the VP. They're not signing the checks. Ultimately, it's the CHRO,
Sure, sure.
but they're the ones driving this because the biggest benefit is to them, I'd say. Now, the huge benefit to them, to payroll, to HR, to even the revenue teams. Again, this is impacting everyone, but
Hmm.
the VP of TA is the person driving this.
Right. Now, did they, and obviously you have, they can see analytics and all this other stuff. Um, how are they tying? I'm always interested in how are they, meaning your champion there at the organization, how are they tying Echo into their reporting, or how are you controlling that for them so that they can actually see the impact?
Yeah, absolutely. So today, Echo connects to two main systems that they use, the ATS and the HRS.
Mhm.
Because we connected to those do both of those systems, we can actually give them like a live snapshot of some of the KPIs, not just referrals, but other KPIs of how this is impacting the org. The biggest one, the biggest one really is, or biggest two, I would say. The first one is turnover. So we actually show them live
Okay.
the referral turnover rate. So like how many of your referrals, what's your turnover rate? And they can literally look at that and compare it with the org-wide turnover rate and report on it. That's
I'm
been the big,
guessing it's significantly lower.
yes. Yeah, almost like
Otherwise, you're not showing it to them.
otherwise we're hiding it. But typically it's 50% lower. Just giving you
Wow.
yes, 50% lower typically.
Over the
referral-
same time periods.
Correct.
That's
Right.
crazy.
Um, and the second snapshot we give them is recruitment cost savings. So we actually develop an equation with them during onboarding, and we show them how many have they actually saved, like literally on that dashboard. It goes, oh, you just saved, you spent. We shows them how much they spent on referral bonuses. Oh, you spent $200,000 on referral bonuses. But typically CFOs only hear that first part of the sentence. That's why VPs of TA struggle to increase the referral program, right? So we give them the second part, which is, oh, but you just saved org $2.8 million, right? With a justification under it, how it's calculated. They literally just take a screenshot, send it to their CFO and say, hey, I want to increase my referral bonuses. This is what's happening with us.
Right. And you can see, can you now see at this point, can you see how many openings they've had, how many times they had to go out to market, and then how many times obviously the referral was made or hired. So that, and then second to that question is, do a lot of your organizations or do any of them use referrals first before they go out to market?
The reason I smile is we had a customer ask us that to do it. So right now,
Yeah.
the solution doesn't really allow for it because we're pulling the job from their careers page, right? But we had one customer come to us and say, hey, we have this job. And before I put it on the job boards, I want to see, can I get a hire through referrals first?
Makes sense.
And we're like, sure, let's just give us the job info and we'll manually put it into Echo first, right? And we did that and they got a hire through a referral from Echo. And they're like, perfect, you just saved me, $300. I'm like, what? He's like, yep, I would have spent $300 on this just on Indeed. And I'm like,
Right.
there's something there, and it's on our product roadmap. Competitor.
That's just the posting, right? That's not the time to post, time to review, the tech to review,
Yeah.
the interviewing, the scheduling, the back
Yeah.
and forth, time missed, all this other stuff,
Yeah.
depending on, what they're doing, bookings, et cetera. So, yeah, I mean, there's a real value there.
Yeah.
to-
Even our
to do that.
CTO, he brought this up. He's like, hey, Tawfiq, we got to chase this. And I admire he brought it up to my attention since now it's on our product roadmap at the top. Like, what if we allowed our customers to post jobs on Echo first before they post them on job boards? Because then we can really show them a clear ROI. Like, hey, you would have spent $2,000 on Indeed just to post this job, right? And you just got a referral before even doing that, right? And you paid $1,000 for that referral.
Yeah, I wonder if this is interesting. I like this train of thought. I wonder if there's a way to, because I know a lot of companies will have to post internally first, right? And then they go external. Could we do internal and referral and then go out, right? Referrals added into that mix, and then allow them to do that. But even at the upfront part, if you may do this, I don't know, but do you? And if you don't, could you provide the potential data of numbers or dollar amount that they would save by hiring internal, by hiring referral, and then external to show, for example, if you post this today, you're going to pay approximately this amount of money
Yeah.
for time, effort, posting, etc., versus here, and allow them to then make that decision. Because
Yeah.
not every position, some positions they may want to say, you know what, do all three right now. It's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, we definitely could. If we have the right data, we could.
Yeah.
Something I'm sure you've bumped into a lot of times. Teams don't have the data.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's your cost per hire? Yeah, I don't know.
Have no clue. Yeah.
And there goes my equation on like
Yeah.
your ROI. Right?
People are still trying to track like
Yeah.
quality of hire and this and that. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of antiquated everything out there for sure. Yeah, this is an interesting space to me. So let's talk about the demo, right? So people come in, you're talking to them, you're taking them through Echo. what is it that gets them excited? Like where in the demo, when you know you get them to this spot, they're like almost all the time, they're like, dang, that's cool right there.
Yeah. I would say it's a bunch of touch points. So maybe let me start with the biggest thing customers appreciate when we give them a demo is how much we actually thought of the frontline employee, right? So they go, you just covered everything like as a frontline employee I would think of, right? And again, that goes to our mentality of like we're building for the employee, not for the person signing the
Right,
check.
right, right. It's almost like you have a frontline employee at your company building
Ex-
this out.
Exactly right. It's like my dad is a beta user. I'm like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I don't pay him, but maybe one day we'll we'll give him some
He's
advisory
he's
shares.
paid in gratitude
Yeah,
from your success.
yeah. No, I appreciate that. And so that's I think the biggest like thing they look at. They're like, this just makes sense. And this is when you ask me like, why wouldn't you go to tech, etc. Because once you go into like a non-frontline vertical, you start building features that are not frontline friendly, and
Right.
you're like, like connect your LinkedIn and find your contacts. I'm like, that's nice, but frontline employees they don't use
They don't
LinkedIn.
need, yeah.
So that's the biggest one is they look at this and say, hey, you've actually thought of everything. But when I pinpoint on a specific point, it's when I show them the ability for the employee to get updates through text about their referrals and be able to access their dashboard, track all the referrals and payouts all through text. So the biggest thing we've done differently compared to other products is that you don't need to download an app. It's all through text, right? So when I show them that, they go, wow. And the reason they go, wow, is because this provides a great experience for the employee, but also saves them tons of questions. Like they're like, wow, this would save me a lot of questions. Like, where's
Yeah.
my payout? Where's my
I don't need
referral?
a call center to answer
Yeah,
all these questions.
yeah, right.
Worth the price of admission.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
That's I think the biggest one that I see at least like eyes glow compared to other parts of the demo. But I always say we're in a lucky position, and I get just to showcase a product that's cool. So people are generally excited to see it.
Yeah. So okay. So I've got two more questions for you. Um, One, outside of just stupidity, why would a company not invest, really truly invest in, well, let's say Echo, just in a referral program instead of using, like you said, Excel sheets? Is it just because they don't know, they weren't taught this yet, or they just don't care? Like, what's the deal there?
I think the biggest reason is just generally when I see companies say, oh, like we don't need a program or a solution right now, it's they're not getting as much referrals, all right? To for this to create like a nightmare. And I'm like, and I tell them that's the problem. We need to get you more referrals. All right.
Yeah.
So, oh, we're managing. What do you mean? We don't get tons. See, that's a problem. That's why
Your
you need,
problem.
right? Like, that's the problem. So I think that's the biggest one I'm facing right now. It's like, oh, we're managing. But when I face that, it means I'm in the wrong room. I read this the other day. Is like when you're in the buyer, you're not aligned on pricing. Your buyer thinks that's for example, these are example numbers. It's 10K a year, and you're at 100K a year, for example. One of you is in the wrong room. It's either
Right,
them
right.
or it's you, right? So this is why we do like discovery. I'm sure you've done this in your roles,
Sure.
similar to how TA folks. They do like intake sessions with hiring managers, but then they do screening calls with candidates because they
Right.
need to make sure them and the candidate are aligned. But I would say it's that. It's like, hey, we're not getting that much referrals for us to invest in this. Like, cool. That's the
Yeah.
most I can say from there.
Here's something we can help you with.
Yep.
Put them in your information funnel, right?
Yep.
Like put them into your resources and
Yeah.
help them along the way.
Yeah.
At some point, maybe they're ready. At some point, maybe not,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
okay. But you're right. You're in the wrong room, and you can't waste your time there. So, all right. Final question. What are the questions that you do not get asked that you really, I say, wish like they need to be asking you, or any provider at that, as they're researching referral programs?
Yeah, absolutely. The best one, I mean, there's three I always say, like, if I was a buyer, I would ask these three questions, really. You rarely see folks ask these questions, and you'll be surprised. The first one, which should be a given, but not a lot of buyers ask, what makes you different?
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have to prompt that from them. It's like,
Yeah,
hey,
I
are
think
you
it's
looking into...
because they're afraid of that question.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like it's almost like going to a job interview and hey,
Yeah.
why should we hire you? Like it's just an awkward question to ask, but it's important for them to know where are you different in this space. We've talked to 5 different companies. They need to ask you that.
And when they don't ask that question, they miss the opportunity of choosing the right vendor based on quality. So they ultimately end up choosing based on pricing, and then they regret that decision, right? So I'm always, what I did is I flipped the script. I'm always like, hey, are you looking at anyone else? If I get a yes, I'm like, let me focus on how we're different, right? But I was like, you should have asked me that question. You should have just said, hey, we're looking at someone else.
Yeah.
What makes you different? Not a lot of teams ask that. So I'd say like that's the first question I wish buyers would ask more. The second one, I only had one customer in my whole time with Echo asked me this question. And it was like, wow, that's a great question. They go, hey, I don't want to speak to a customer, but tell me about a customer who churned and why did they churn? Because most of the times if they go, oh, let me speak to a customer, you just give them a great customer, and
Yeah, you
it's
give them a
like,
great customer.
it's like references in the candidate world, right? Like no one's going to give a bad reference.
Yeah.
So this person goes, hey, tell me about a customer who churned and why did they churn? And my response, we only had one customer churn, right? And my response was because they didn't integrate the solution, they ran it like that was early in our journey. They're like, hey, can we do this manually? And we kind of like, duct tape things along. I'm like, it wasn't integrated, so it didn't give them the great experience, it didn't give employees a great experience. But I wish customers would ask that question more because they would understand why customers leave. Some folks even go more aggressive, like, hey, can I speak to them? And depending on my relationship with that churned customer, which we have a great relationship with, I go, yep, I'll connect you with them, right? And
Churn isn't bad. Churn is not always a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And we call it we when we talk about internally, we talk about regrettable churn, right?
yeah,
But it's okay for them to ask, and they should ask, and it's even better for you to be able to talk about that, and not even defend it. Like, look, not everyone's a great fit.
yeah,
We didn't do our job
yeah.
right on discovery. We couldn't provide what they wanted. Like it's okay to say something like that. As long as you're honest, then they'll appreciate that.
Yeah, and that shows the power of like the product and the honesty, as you said, of the vendor. The other day, one of the buyers he told me, hey, we chose X company, I won't mention the name, for its product, but we're leaving because of its customer support, right? So that's just as equally important as well. So it shows that honesty too. The third question, I usually just typically I would be like, hey, if I was you, I would literally ask this question. And when they don't, I flip the script and I tell them. But mostly, typically buyers go, oh, how much does it cost? And they stop there. I wish buyers would be like, hey, how much does it cost? Perfect. How did other customers justify this pricing to their CHRO or CFO?
Yeah, how do I make the business case? I love what you're doing.
Right.
I love the opera, but
Yeah.
how do I make the business case? Because
Yeah.
I need you to write this for me,
Exactly.
so I don't have to do it.
Yeah. Right.
But in that you get the answer to them.
Yeah, right. Because typically they don't, and I flip the script. I go, look, here's how much it costs. I get the reaction. Like, perfect. Let me show you how we helped other customers justify the ROI here. I show them an example. I'm like, I just need these 6 or 7 data points from you, and I can give you a first draft, right? But sometimes buyers, when they get like a price shock, especially when they're not aligned on pricing, they don't ask that follow-up question, and they even don't let me or allow us to help them justify the pricing. They go, oh, that's above above what we thought. I'm like, cool, like let us show you how we justified the pricing.
Yeah.
Right? And buyers don't ask that.
Yeah, we see that a lot.
Yeah.
We definitely see that a lot. And again, it's okay to be in the wrong room as long as you get out of it quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you don't need to, but buying on price doesn't do you any good either.
Yeah.
If they're buying on price, chances are you're not going to make them happy because they're always going to be tying everything back to a price, to a dollar amount. And then you're held captive to that. And you're doing your job well for 52 other companies. You bring on a 53rd that cares about this one thing, and they're constantly trying to find out how to pay for you.
Yeah.
That could be a problem. Tawfiq, this has been wonderful. I love employee referrals, man. I could talk about this thing all day. Tell everybody where they can find you, find Echo, and we'll obviously put some stuff in the show notes and all of that. But where can they find you guys?
Yeah. I'm personally on LinkedIn. You can find me. I'm Tawfiq Boukajil. There's only one person with that name on LinkedIn.
Only one with that name.
Only one with that name.
Just look in the show notes. It'll be there.
Yeah. Show notes, and it'll be there. The link will be there. And then you can find Echo at Echo with a Q, EQO, refer, refer.com.
All right. Tawfiq, thank you very much. I appreciate the time, brother.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you.